So the schedule says the panel we're going to do is live free and be ready, building resilience in the free state. And I love this topic, and I love bringing panelists on to really explain what happens once you moved to New Hampshire for being prepared. So welcome everyone. Today's conversation is more than being prepared for disaster. It's also about being prepared to live well no matter what happens. Because as we know, the world is a little crazy right now. And we are trying to find, my notes saying parallel systems for what we need in a society. But I actually think that we're building better systems than what the world has to offer us. So our panelists each bring a unique angle on how Free Staters are building these systems, and specifically through education, hard assets like gold and Bitcoin, skill sharing, and most importantly, community. We'll talk about the power of being surrounded by like-minded people, how to start building those relationships now, and what it means to be ready, not just in crisis, but in opportunity. So let's get started with intros. So I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us how you feel most prepared.
Hi, my name is Nathan Glazer. Most prepared skill set. Sorry. There's a I know I have a very curious mind, so I see something and I want to recreate it. So welding, internet stuff, prepping, canning. I mean, my family's been into prepping for a while, so my grandfather went through the Depression, so that was a big one, but that's the skill sets that I have.
Could you repeat the question?
I want you to introduce yourself and explain what you think you're most prepared with, like why you're on the panel.
Okay, great. Yep, my name is Stephen Daves. I moved to New Hampshire 11 years ago with my family. I think what gives me probably the most preparedness would be like access to different skills and knowledge and tools that are available in the community, different maker spaces we have available, different clubs that are available that we can connect with. My ability, like generally preparedness would be able to research something and try to make a conclusion and act on it. Reading different topics and done a lot of work with makerspace work. So that's kind of think where I'm at. And Kitty?
Good afternoon. I'm Kitty Michelotti. I moved to New Hampshire with my family in 2013. I've lived in several resourceful communities where we've done everything from raise our own food to pass along different skill sets like canning and shooting and things that you just need to be more resilient, more self-sufficient. It wasn't until I came to New Hampshire that I found a lot of other people who were really excited about the same things that I had been excited about. Everywhere else, it was kind of on the fringe. And once I got here, there were a lot of other people who thought I wasn't crazy. Well, they still think I'm crazy, but they were too. And were really excited to help me harvest rabbits and excited to learn how to make their own bone broth. And so I think the skills I had before have only gotten stronger, but in New Hampshire, there's a community that's wanting to build that kind of future too.
All right. Thank you and welcome. Sure. I'm super excited for you to be here. What role has the Free State community played in your personal preparedness journey? And anyone feel free to jump in.
I feel like you're only in this bubble, even a preparedness bubble. And when you meet other people that aren't in that bubble, that have different skills, you get introduced to whole new concepts sometimes. So even if you think you know everything, you don't. And that's one of the great things about being with the community is because they're like, well, I've done this and I did it this way and it seems more efficient. And you're like, holy cow, this is great. So being around like-minded people is a real strength.
Oh, yeah. community is a big one. Obviously, being able to learn with other people. So, taking your kids to go to a farm to learn how to process an animal, something like that, is an experience that lives with them for a long time and makes them prepared to realize that they could gather food if they wanted to, or hunt if they wanted to. And it's a pastime, something for them to do that they enjoy, so that it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like just being connected and living your life. Beth?
I think the Free State Project changed my preparedness journey in a really unexpected way. The people I met here at PorcFest my first few years, I got really excited when I saw them in real life. And as we hung out more and spent more time together, we started doing things where we created parallel systems to fix the problems we saw in the systems we didn't like. So we started homeschooling co-ops, and we started ways to raise our own food where one person has, pigs on their land one year, I have them on my land the next year. I just found people who were willing to think outside the box with me and say, I hate this, but not just complain about it, do something about it, and create a whole nother world where we could kind of have PorcFest every day of the year. Kind of.
Do you want to talk more about your homeschool co-op? Since I personally have a child who has benefited from it, and I have some love for it.
Yeah, what's a homeschool co-op?
What's a homeschool co-op? A homeschool co-op is when a couple moms get together and say, wow, we love homeschooling. We cannot stand the government school system. We want to make sure we still have libertarian kids at the end of 12 years of education, which you can't really do in the current indoctrination system. And we say, yeah, but our kids are really hard to teach. How about you teach my kids and I'll teach your kids? And we get together and a bunch of people say, this is really cool. We want to help. We'll teach 3D printing. I'll teach shooting. I'll teach algebra. Great. I'll teach Shakespeare. And we now have a really thriving community down in Derry, New Hampshire called Latitude Learning. And we have several families, over 100 kids a week, come to be homeschooled by members of the community who donate their time, by parents who have specialities that they want to share, and everything in between. It's pretty great. I think we have kids age 4 through 18 right now, and we try to hold the line really firm of libertarian homeschooling. Come as you are and be kind to others. Well, you don't have to be kind, but just don't be a dick.
So how has being part of a liberty-minded community given you an edge in uncertain times?
Well, I mean, no one man is an island is the expression. You have a whole bunch of different people that you can rely on and even learn from, but you still have to sleep. You still have to be able to process food. You still have to do all this stuff while these events are happening. So being able to have the manpower and different skill sets, not everybody is an expert at everything. I can. Yeah. Would you let me eat it? Probably not, but she's really good at it, so it's one of those things that division of labor and everything else really helps with a community, and especially a community that's already, knows their rights, knows how to stand up against an authoritarian, has AV equipment, can put the message out real quick. Like all of that is one person can't do that. So that's community is huge.
Yeah, like a network effect, right? There's already people that have dedicated to building their lives here as preppers that want to be able to provide for their families and their communities as in their first mindset. Just also the New Hampshire in general, you have to be prepared. Otherwise, you freeze to death, right? It's not going to forgive you like a warm climate. You have to have 2 sources or more for heat and energy just to know that you're going to make it through. So it's baked into the mindset. It's baked into the culture.
And it says 72 hours, though.
So FEMA only says 72 hours. So that's all you should have. Anything more, and you're a hoarder.
Yeah, but there.
is the swear word for prepping. So
I think we've come back to we're weird, but we have a community of weirdos, so it's great.
Yeah.
They tend to survive, yo. Yeah.
And then the homeschooling thing, like you had mentioned, if I could just talk about that.
Yeah.
New Hampshire having like, what was it last time I counted? Almost 100 different little meetup groups where it's like, if you like this thing, there's probably a group for that. Or if I'm in this town, there's likely a group for that. And then coming from, I was born in Ohio, and growing up there, homeschool co-ops were illegal. We couldn't do them. So it was some things you're like, what? Why is that even illegal? It doesn't even make sense. How does it benefit the community to say you can't get together? So it's just the perspective of like, almost like the recognition of, oh yeah, you homeschool, okay, and then that fitting into preparedness for me at its core. So
Honestly, I think the kids, because all these little humans who are running around have a leg up that we may not have had not growing up in this community. When you already know the adults around you are going to respect you, actually take you seriously, they're going to go farther in the liberty movement than we've been able to, just because they're already starting on the shoulders of us.
yep.
And I think it gives me a lot of hope for the future of New Hampshire and the movement in general.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to backtrack a little bit for the intros. How long have you all lived in New Hampshire?
2013.
2013?
2014.
Okay. I'm also 2014. And we all have children. So I have 2 that are adults, 1 who's on the cusp, and my youngest is 14. So when we talk about raising kids in the Free State Project, we have over a decade of experience. And so, and I didn't really introduce myself, and I guess I should have, but I'm Constance Spencer, and I moved here from Alaska. Jason read my intro, but so I am interested in prepping because in Alaska, you have even less forgiveness if you lose resources. And I was very in my 20s when 9/11 happened, and I was up there working my summer job, and they shut down the airplanes and I couldn't get home, and I suddenly was like, oh yeah, the world can shut down really quickly. And so I've wanted to be prepared after that. But when I came to PorcFest in 2013, I realized that this was the place to be prepared. So I'll do a little talking myself before I put them back on the spot. All right. So, and I just want to go back to the canning thing real quick, because you can better. You know how to can. I know how to can. I haven't done it lately. But we still have the store-bought cans, right? So like, why do you need to be able to can? Like, what is your thought process? Do you use store-bought cans and then also your own cans? Like,
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing specifically knowing how to can?
So when I first got into prepping, the adage was, if you're just going to buy food, you're going to store it in the basement, it's going to expire, you wasted your money. You kind of have to get into the mindset of doing it as a norm. So you get a whole bunch of strawberries when they're cheap, you can them, freeze them, whatever you want to do with them, process them in some way, and then you eat it later. We did pulled pork. Well, she did pulled pork, I should say. And it's just the use of it. So you're constantly recycling your supplies and they're not expiring. That being said, I think we pulled out a few expired things here recently, but yeah.
Yep.
So otherwise it's a waste. If you do eat what you actually do.
Yeah, prep the foods that you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that during stressful times.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it and you're trying to learn a new skill set while there's stressful times, it's not a good situation. So
Yeah.
if it's secondhand and you have a stressful situation, you can concentrate more on that situation than your food.
And who doesn't love mason jars?
And what?
And who doesn't love mason jars? So you can just use
Yeah.
them. You-
Yeah,
we
that's
don't-
true.
can't-
Any excuse to buy mason
They're
jars.
functional for everything.
Yeah.
Every craft project, every drink, every vase on the counter, everything. So
And when the kids break it,
They're so hard to break.
those
though.
things are durable.
they are.
They are very
really
good.
are.
Sorry.
All right.
I don't know about that one.
What skills or services do you see Free Staters most exchanging or relying on each other for? And with the reminder that we're being live streamed.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
Knowledge base is so some person's going to have access to a welder and is really good at fixing things that way. We're really good at doing B, C, D. We can exchange services. It's you see it at PorcFest, you see it at Agora Valley, you see it all over the place. It's literally just an extension of that, I think. There's a lot of very, very skilled people out there in this community, so and I don't even know all of it. So
You don't have to know all of it.
Yeah. Auto repair, clothing swap, anything that's like functional in your house. There's some Free Stater that will come help you with it.
Yep.
There's a whole, you could just publish what problem you're having. You'll probably have a couple people the same day say, oh, I can come look at that for you. Or, how urgent is this for you? So in general, people care is what it feels like the difference is. So.
And they love, like somebody wants to learn it. Oh, don't get me started on ham radio. Like I can go for hours on that. So
I think what I appreciate is the sharing of resources too. If somebody has a food dehydrator, hey, I have a bunch of extra apples. Can you make me some fruit leather? Sure. I'll keep some. You get some back. We have a friend who just bought a freeze dryer. Those are really expensive, but if you provide, if you fill up the entire freeze dryer, she takes a couple trays, you take a couple trays, and it's just, again, setting up systems outside of the systems that already exist that work a little bit better for our actual community with the actual needs that we have. That can be a lot more immediately met rather than going through another venue. So I've appreciated, sharing chicken pluckers or, hey, I'll give you some bacon if you'll watch my kids for some time. Just those sorts of setting up bartering systems that don't necessarily involve anyone outside of our community, but get everybody's needs met within it.
and finding what doesn't work, like turkeys in the chicken plucker. It's better to find out now than when it's really matters. Yeah.
So this one is more story based. So this gives you guys a little chance to tell the audience a story. But can you share a moment when the community came through for you or someone else in a meaningful way?
I think one of the biggest ones was seeing here at PorcFest, even when the cops showed up one time, and immediately people were there, making sure that this was a legit, interaction, that it wasn't them trying to be too authoritarian. So that to me is a skill that I don't have really. So I appreciated seeing that, and there's a lot of people in the community that know their rights and know how to stand up. So if you call them up and say the feds are here or something along those lines, you get the message out. And I think that's worth a lot, at least to me.
Yeah, I would say mine is helping just to make this event, this PorcFest, possible. I mean, it's hard to, if you've been here as long as I have and these people have, it's hard to remember what it was like for the first time that you go and how magical Disney World experience it is. Libertarian Disney World, effectively, where it's a market's running, everything's going on. It's a test of what society could look like, what we could have all the time, PorcFest every day, which you were saying. And my difficulty was I was hard to convince my wife to want to move here. It's far from family. She hasn't been here before. And so I was able to, negotiate with her, say, okay, I don't feel like we can raise a family any bigger than what we have. We had 2 kids. We both wanted more, but I didn't feel like we had the support system that we had when we weren't here. And coming here and everyone being welcoming to her meeting homeschooling groups and other families, they made it so that she said, yeah, I would move here. And I said, okay, well, how about we have another baby and we move here? And she said, okay, definitely, we'll do it. So it was just something you wouldn't expect, that things would just fall into place where you could see like this could be a home. And that's what it felt like when we first came here. And it's so much work for all the people that go in to make that possible, so that the people and that's the purpose of this, is to get people to move here. We want you to go look at a house and pretend that you could live here, see what it's like, go through the mental process and see how much better your life could be. So
I think the beauty of it is just how almost mundane it's become. And I don't mean mundane as in boring, but the fact that the community is a part of my life every single day, that I know if my kids need a ride to or from someplace, there's several people who are probably going to the event anyway that could help. Or if I've made some extra food for dinner, I can definitely reach out to somebody and hand it over, and it would be not questioned, but just like, hey, thanks, appreciate that. Wow, thanks for thinking of me. And things like that happen on a regular basis, so much so that it's just a part of our lives. And it harkens back to a time where, the kids go out and they're playing all day long, and, oh, do you have my kid? Actually, I do have your kid, but they told me they're both going home with you, so I'll come get them tomorrow. Wonderful, great. And, I joke that I have a minivan. I have 3 kids of my own, but I never have only my kids in that car. I'm always coming home from Latitude with other people's kiddos. Most of the time, their parents know about it because I try to remind myself to get in touch with them. And then half the time, my kids are going home with somebody else. And it's just such a wonderful, much more wholesome, holistic. It's not like you have to be in this pickup line for this long and only this designated adult can come get your kid. And I don't know, it harkens back to like a yesteryear where it was a lot more chill, and the kids can grow up in this knowing that if something goes down and Nate or myself can't be right there, they have a bunch of other adults they can turn to who are just as reliable and will handle it just the same way we would. There's not a lot of punitive punishment. If one of my kids gets into an accident, no one's going to show up and say, wow, you're an idiot. They're going to show up and say, are you okay? Let me get you back to your mom. What else do you need? And someone would probably even offer to loan us a car. It's just that type of community.
I think to even add on to that, like in the day and age where there's social media and everything else, where people are feeling more and more disconnected, being able to have those kids just mingle and play and do this, and adults know that everything's taken care of, but they're getting that human interaction that we used to get as kids. And that community is that makes us all stronger. That makes everybody much better off. So
yeah, Constance, I feel like you've got some good stories for that particular question
I have
too.
Lots of stories. I don't know if I want to get into some of the more personal ones, but as you were saying about the parenting ones, one that popped into mind was when my kid broke her arm here at PorcFest, and just instantly people were helping, bringing her to me, stepping up, because I was volunteering for PorcFest and was down here setting up. And the very first day, she broke her arm, and yeah, it was just amazing. Like the community, and then also the kids' resilience, because 2 days later she was out vending and with her arm in a cast. So it's pretty awesome. She's like, I'm going to use this for my advantage. So
yeah, that's one other thing. So my 16-year-old daughter just started driving. It's terrifying. It's just terrifying thought. Nightmares are full of that. And she just driving and, leaves the headlights on. Classic beginner move. You leave the headlights on, you do your thing, you come back, the car's dead. Now mom or dad has to come drive an hour away or however far it is. But Nate here could just jump my daughter's battery because he's there and is helpful. So it's it's amazing to have a community. We're just every little thing, like you were saying, it's almost mundane. It's like we have so many little benefits that add up that the package is bigger than pointing to one thing and saying this is the best.
So I'm going to throw you guys a question that wasn't on the list because I did let them read the list ahead of time. So we're talking about all these great things about the free state and being prepped, but like, what happens if the world shuts down or, we've all been through COVID now, so we know we made it through that just fine with our community, but what happens if it like lasts longer and people that didn't prepare decide they want our resources? How do you feel about being in New Hampshire in that scenario versus where you moved from?
I think that they chose the wrong state if they think they're going to take supplies. Honestly, sorry. I mean, especially with this group, we're libertarians for a reason. We're already on the fringe. Prepping was fringe before, like, everybody thought, why are you keeping extra food? It was something my grandfather did from the Depression. So he always told me, he's like, make sure to have, enough to feed your family. And if they think they're going to try to take it, it's going to be a interesting argument.
It would be rough in the bigger cities, probably, almost non-existent in the rural areas. People would give you the other preps, but they would give it to you one prep at a time, traveling very fast, right? So you could collect them, but you wouldn't want them, kind of thing. We would easily have a ham radio network in a matter of minutes set up and ready for people to use that, primarily if there was any type of, communication issues. Medicine and supplies would be secured. I know there's quite a few people that have medicine saved as well. So like all the vital, how do we, stop the bleed? How do we get someone stable? That would immediately build up. It's not really built up now because we have established systems for these things. We have EMS networks and we have 911 networks and hospitals, but I know that's something that would just spring up organically, like a hub, right? We would have hubs. Basically, the hub model would populate across New Hampshire more as well. So,
and I do think that people that did prep are going to be able to facilitate that. So, I was always told, give till it, not hurt. But you give out. But what you give out can be to somebody that's going to set up an EMS network, somebody that's going to set up something that's going to overall benefit the whole community. Somebody that's coming up that never prepped, that has no skills, that's going to be a much harder conversation. But people that have skills, you got to foster that. Otherwise, you can't do it all by yourself. So,
wood needs split. Wood needs split. There's plenty of wood to split.
There is. That's true.
So being prepped is staying physically strong. You can't do anything else. Be physically strong so you can split wood for Steven. And
well,
make sure
if you like to be warm, you have to split wood. It's not for me.
Yeah, you got kids that can do that. Sure. Don't need to barter that one. How about you, Kitty?
I feel like we have a leg up in a lot of ways. I have a job at PorcFest that I take very, very, very seriously, and it is arming all the children with boffers and making sure that they are all well versed in close quarters combat and melee weapons tactics. So I feel like our kids are in a pretty good position, especially if you give them PVC pipe and pool noodles. And maybe even more than that. I feel like a lot of these kiddos know what's up.
Yeah, I'm super glad you brought up the training aspect of it, because there's definitely the ability, like you were saying, you can buy the cans and you can stick them in the basement and you can just hope that you never need them. And it's the same way with self-defense. You can have the items that you need, but not have the training to actually use them. And we definitely have opportunities here in New Hampshire to use and practice.
I mean, it's called humans versus zombies. And in all the prepping literature, the golden horde is the horde that comes out of the cities. I'm just saying. We're training our kids to be able to evade.
Get it clear.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
So it was kind of mentioned that some people won't have as many skills, but or will be newer to this community. So how can a newcomer get plugged in and start building relationships so that if something happens, it could happen tomorrow. Could be something tomorrow.
Or it can never happen.
And
It's the
I've heard that.
Yeah, no. So people that go really deep into the prepping sometimes go a little too far. Are you going to be able to prep for every event? No. But can you be better off than just be more sustainable and resilient, I think, is one of the biggest things. If you have a skill that you think you have, everything's skills. If you are curious about anything, you ask anybody that's done a lot of, they're going to gladly tell you everything. I'm sure Kitty would love to talk about canning and the pressure canners and ham radio for me, welding, any of that stuff. Acre space, building drones.
Yeah, apprenticeships are a big one. There's a lot of old timers that have a craft and they just need help.
That is,
if you've got time, it's you can make money. It's probably more volunteer work / learning work, but you can either pay to be taught or you can spend your time and learn. So find people that are skilled at things and put yourself around them. Ask them as many questions as they'll answer. Be very curious and inquisitive. Go to meetup groups for these things. So there's all kinds, especially at PorcFest, you could do it today. You could find a meetup group for any type of preparedness you're looking for, or create a meetup group if you want to learn about something. Create something and say, let's get together and learn this. And you'll find people that also want to learn it as well. So
yeah, there's classes going on all the time. The FSP calendar is constantly packed with people doing shooting classes or doing rucks or canning or soap making or harvesting chickens. Like, there's so many different things that you can learn at any given time. And even if it's something you never thought you yourself would be interested in, you could just be a joiner and just go check it out, and you'll meet new people that you may find similar interests with, and then you can go on from there. There are groups that meet to talk politics. There's groups that meet to smoke cigars and drink beer. Like, there's something for everyone.
fsp.org/calendar.
Thank you.
Yeah, and previous years when I had a preppers panel, I tried to bring in people specifically for like precious metals or crypto. But I feel like this year I wanted more jack of all trade people to talk, because we have so many other talks at PorcFest that people could attend to learn about crypto or gold or silver. Like, I really wanted this to be more about like the skills of connecting, and I think you guys are demonstrating that well.
So yeah, I always gold is a way to transfer your wealth. It's small, it's compact, it's worth a lot. Bitcoin and all that stuff, if the internet stays up, if that's what's going to happen, you can't eat gold, you can't eat Bitcoin. You have to take care of, what is it, air, food, or water, food, shelter. Yeah, shelter. So you have to take care of those items first, and then extract whatever wealth. If you have to bug out, that was a great blog article I read. It was kind of a preparedness planning thing. It's lessons from Katrina. This guy, he was down there, and he's like, what happens if all of a sudden you have to move like he did? Mm-hmm. And he's like, here's what worked and here's what didn't work. And the whole goal is to extract the maximum amount of wealth out in front of this hurricane, in this case, that's coming in. Do you know how to do that? Do you know all your insurance numbers? Do you know all the stuff that's needed for your life to pick up and go? And he's like, most people arrived in Houston, which was where they shipped everybody. They had none of their documentation. It was all lost. And so he put out a plan and a way to extract the most amount of wealth. Do you take the cars? Are you taking all the stuff out of the safes? What are you going to do? Those are something you have to think about before the event happens, because otherwise it's panic.
So like your fire evacuation plan, but the bug out plan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's essentially, you want to be able to have the most wealth in items that will be able to set up in a new place where you can thrive, because prepping is more not just surviving. You have to be able to thrive. Otherwise, that's
Yeah, I think your mental preparedness is at the core of this, right? You can be physically prepared, but if you're mentally in anguish, you're not going to be able to respond in the right way, or you'll overreact or you'll underreact. So that's having that mental process of having the connection you need to stay grounded, to deal with your stress in life, to deal with the difficulties that are going to come up. Community is a huge one. You can't do it alone. You're not going to survive alone. I don't think I would want to survive alone. You would want to be with people. You need people. So you have to find the right people that like you, that you can tolerate, that tolerate you for the services that you're going to exchange. And then, looking at it generationally, how do I want my children to grow up? What I want it to be like? What do I want them to experience? What am I going to want to have to give to them that was influential to me, that I received? So
a lot of times when you ask those questions to people who aren't here, you'll get a lot of fear-based answers. And what I enjoy about our community is you get a lot of empowered answers. This is what I'm capable of. These are the people I know who are capable of these other things. And it does not matter if you ask these questions to a young kid or an older person, anyone in between. This is what I'm good at. This is what I can contribute. And when you shift your thinking and your manner of preparedness from fear to that, you can just get more done. You're not paralyzed. You've already started a step ahead. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but that's what we have here is you're just a step ahead already. Like you're just starting a little bit further down the road. And it's important not to be afraid, have the mental preparedness as well. And I think you get that in this.
So about the mental preparedness, do you guys feel like you're in a better mental state having moved and developed your lives in New Hampshire with the Free State community?
I used to live in New York and Massachusetts. Yes.
you survived.
Maybe I should have said that on a scale of 1 to 10. No, you'd all be like 20.
Where did the state hurt you on this doll?
Boston.
Yeah, Boston. It hurts.
So we're about 40 minutes into the hour. I know we have a pretty small crowd here, but if there is anyone who wants to ask the panelists a question, go for it. If not, I will keep asking them a question. We have a mic right here.
Yeah. What?
What's that? Please come up to the mic.
So if nobody has questions, I can always.
No, I've got more. I just didn't want to monopolize the question asking if other people had questions.
Sure.
I usually start this by asking how many people live in New Hampshire now. Okay, so most of you are visiting, so we're obviously putting on a sales pitch, but hopefully you have questions about us. Be skeptics. All right.
So say I'm a new mover and I decided to move to New Hampshire. I heard a lot about how important community is, but I just moved here. What do I do to build that community and find those like-minded people to build my own group for better self-reliance? What would be some steps that I could take right away to start doing that?
Ooh, can I answer? I haven't really answered.
Yeah.
All right. So I moved here in 2014, like I said, and I came from Alaska, which is a super free state. I didn't really need to move to New Hampshire. My answer compared to their answers of states that I moved from, it's Alaska's awesome. And I had a great community there. I was plugged in with the home birthing, the Leche League, homeschooling, the whole bit. So, but I came to PorcFest and I realized there was better, and I chose better over what I had, which was wonderful. So that's my ringing endorsement for New Hampshire. And what I did is I just started doing, because it was so long ago, I started doing what I was doing in Alaska, which was doing meetups and meeting other families. And from there, I met some of my best friends of my life, and I'm sure other families connected who had kids of similar age. So I always say, look for an opportunity and then create it. But also now that we're over 10 years later, like Kitty was saying, that the community probably already exists. It's just a matter of showing up and contributing your own energy to it. Anybody else?
Yeah, my answer would be, what do you do? What do you just do in your life? Do you go places? Do you hike? Do you ski? Do you pick mushrooms? Do you forage? What do you like to do? Type that thing in on the interwebs with New Hampshire and find people that are doing it. You're going to run into a Free Stater likely who's doing it as well. A lot of them just don't advertise that's what they are, but some of them do. So if you reach out, I think the people are a lot closer than you'd expect in New Hampshire.
Go to like the Quill or to one of the...
Go to the Quill, go to any of the clubhouses. The clubhouses are all available. There's a long list of clubhouses that you can check out, whether the Shell or the Prickle in Concord. So there's many available.
Yeah. Thanks.
And you can always talk to a realtor, even if you're not buying a house. Just saying, we're pretty connected. Kind of a little plug for me there. Any other questions? Or I'll ask more questions of my panelists. I have more. What is the... No, sorry. I was going to pretend it was going to be a math question.
Uh-oh.
Sweet.
42.
That's... Yes. How do you balance personal independence with community collaboration? They want the math question now.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's harder just to say no. There's so many opportunities within the community that it just grows and grows and grows. And at some point you have to say, no, I really should stay home and do laundry. Or invite a bunch of friends over to fold it.
I've shared this story before, but the first 6 months in the Free State Project, I took the Myers-Briggs and texted as an extrovert because I was so happy to be here and doing all these things that I was answering yes, I love to do. And then I was a year later, I was like, I'm exhausted because I am not an extrovert at all, any shape, any form. That was just the excitement of being here and being so authentic for the first time. Because even in Alaska, around my wonderful community, I still felt like there was a part of me, this libertarian part, that wasn't quite able to be authentic.
I'm an introvert all the way through, so this is excruciating.
It's almost over.
No, I don't.
So nothing.
Difficultly.
Yeah.
It's difficult to balance work-life balance. It's difficult to balance volunteer and home life balance. Find things that you like to do with people you like to do them with so that they don't feel like work as much. Then when they feel like work, try to take a little break from it. Say, I need a little bit of time because I don't want to be mad or mean. But yeah, try to clearly communicate how you're feeling with other people that have everything going on in their lives that are really busy. So
redefine your what resets you. I'm a Uber, really.
Yeah.
Kids. And that's what I do. I listen to music and I drive kids.
I was going to say, she was talking about the minivan, but I know at least 2 of your kids are driving now, right? Or at least one is completely on his own and the one's close. So
Yeah.
So you're not even all 3 of your kids probably in the car very often. Yeah. Yeah. We do have a little bit of a peanut gallery over here, guys. So, in your view, what's the biggest non-material asset in the Free State prepping toolkit? You got to pick one. You want me to do the Jeopardy song?
Networking.
Networking? Oh, he's good. He's ready.
Homeschooling network, probably, I think is the biggest one. Because that could be really difficult for someone who discovers it, doesn't have a resource, doesn't know what to expect, and there's so many options that are available.
It's what it is.
Skill sharing, for sure.
So I know we talked a lot about families too, and our audience is obviously not all looking for that. So what would you say to people that either their kids are raised or they don't have kids yet? What are the way that being in New Hampshire helps them be prepared?
I mean, being here and raising your kids here is really putting your money where your mouth is. If you truly believe in this movement, this is how to make it flourish. It's so important for kids to understand there's a different way to grow up. There's a different way than the mainstream is showing them, and it's healthier for them physically, mentally, emotionally, all the ways. It's support that goes beyond the immediate family. It's extended family, it's chosen family, and it's family that often shares a moral set and a value set that even if they don't align 100%, they're willing to respect yours and treat your children the way you would expect them to be treated in your own household and vice versa. I've lived in 5 different states and worked with kids for over 20 years, and I've never found a place like this where they can be authentic too. It's not just us who can now be authentic. Those kids growing up without having to hold their breath a little bit, they can just be who they are from the get-go. And people will meet them where they are, and they in turn learn to meet people where they are, and there's very little conflict that can't be solved. Conflict isn't seen as an impasse. It's seen as a natural part of life that these kids growing up figuring out how to negotiate through these things. It's not just you disagree, I disagree, you do you, boo. It's, oh, let's talk this through. Where do we disagree? Where do we align? Great, now we know that about each other.
When there's preparedness, as in I'm going to need something in a day, I'm going to need it in a month and in a year. What about 10 years of preparedness or 20 years of preparedness? That's what children are. They're the people that are going to run all the machines and the buttons and build the roads. They're the people that you need even if you don't have them. So you're going to need a high caliber of youth that's being brought up to create the world that you're going to live in. So it's intergenerationally, you're connected to it. Like I said, even if you don't have them, you want a good quality of youth, and to support that, even if they're not your own, you would benefit from it. And I think that's something that you see here. That is a mindset people have where they see the youth as something that is beneficial to everyone. It's going to be the new voter that's coming up. It's going to affect everything. So
I think that's one of the differences. The people that have kids kind of view what's been built here as a shield against the outside. What people without kids, where can you have your biggest impact is that extending that bubble out. And by any means necessary, the most impact that you can have is helping the kids learn how to extend that bubble up. So I don't know.
I know I've helped people move to New Hampshire that don't have kids that immediately ask me how they can get involved in the homeschool co-ops, and they want to come teach the kids because they see the impact that makes. So that's definitely something that while you guys were answering that I was thinking about, like how it is intergenerational, and it won't be long until I'll be past actively raising children. So I'm looking forward to continuing to help the next. Oh, also, I feel like we should give Stephen a chance to say how many kids he has now.
4 kids, 2 of them made in New Hampshire. Made in New Hampshire.
In case anybody was wondering how the bigger family thing was going.
50%. I'm working my way up.
All right. Any last questions before I do some closing remarks? All right. I'm attempting this like like having a script and things this time instead of doing it all just kind of as kind of cliff notes. So I apologize if this sounds like I'm reading, but I do want to say thank you. We covered some powerful ground. The community strengthens our ability to prepare, adapt, and thrive. And I think we really did. We didn't focus a lot. Well, I think we did focus a lot on thriving. I think that was pretty much the whole. So thank you for being here. And takeaway is preparedness isn't isolation, it's connection. And the strongest peppers aren't just stocked, they're supported. And here in the Free State, we have the rare opportunity to build a support system intentionally every day. So if you're new here, get involved. If you're not here yet, strongly consider it. And then reach out, make connections. And this movement is about freedom, but it's also about friendship. And these people are my friends, trust, community, and resilience. So live free, be ready, and don't do it alone. And enjoy the rest of your PorcFest.